So my name is Rupda, and for those who don't know why I'm here, or I presume you're coming here for a reason, huh? I don't know what they told you on the message, but yeah, it's not an aerobics class, it's not a gym class, you know that, right? Clearly. And first I want to say that, fuck, it is hot here, man. I just came from England. I'm freezing my ass off there. I came with a jacket, and you guys are cooking here. I'm staying at his place. It's like an oven on the top floor. I was not prepared for that. I couldn't understand why he dragged me to Media Mart at like 9 almost at night to get a little air conditioning. Now I'm so glad you did. Thank you. Basically, I'm coming here because of this gentleman here, Gijs, and many of you obviously know him, I presume, yes. And, you know, him and I bumped heads, or hearts, if you want to say, in a beautiful process that happened in Verona, Italy, approximately a year and a half ago. And he somehow appeared in front of me in a workshop, and next thing I know, I'm working with him. I had no idea what I was dealing against, you know, because some of you know him. You know, he's a force to be reckoned with, and he came full-hearted, wholehearted into the process, and I was very lucky to have his trust and to be able to work with him, you know. And that somehow, that synergy did something, because my energy, who was here at the last talk, by the way? Just out of curiosity. Yeah, we have a very similar structure, him and I. So when his structure met my structure, and all of a sudden we went, wow, we can play, we can create, we can, you know, and next thing led to, you know, some ideas, yeah. And then Bibi, the year before, I had the similar privilege to be able to meet her in Israel, of all places, in a similar process, and same process. Next thing we know, all three of us are working at the table together, and something that is very profound and dear to my heart that we created called the Deep Dive, which is a process that is 4 days and in a retreat, but it's 8 weeks long, and we had, you know, a few people already. Who was at the deep dive, just to see? We have a few people, survivors, yes, okay, cool. Officially called deep divers because they survived, and we have many more coming. Actually, we're booked out in September, so it's doing really well. That, for me, that whole process in creating and, you know, essentially in leading is what is my passion and what I love to do. And lucky for me, being able to meet these two beauties was a perfect synergy to be able to birth this process, deep dive, yeah? You know, it sort of led to why I'm also here, because they also say, hey, Rups, can you come in and do your thing, you know? And, you know, this time, can you talk about leadership? Before, it was about personality structure, yeah? And our little fixations and how we do what we do, and working a little bit with that, yeah? So in leadership, it's a good topic. It's something we essentially all meet against, you know, at one point or another, whether it's in ourselves or with another. I want to say a little bit first something how I am here in this work, so we have a bit of context, yeah. I come from a background which has been very controversial in the media in the last year, which is Osho. Has anyone heard of Osho? Just to see a show of hands. This crazy mofo from India, yeah, okay. Who owned a lot of Rolls Royces. That's what he's known for, you know, his crazy amount of Rolls Royces. Outside of the package of what that whole thing and how it's been presented, especially recently in Netflix, yeah. I was very lucky because I'm in my 50s now, but 40 years plus ago, I was able to meet him and be with him. And the backdrop of his work is a lot around conscious philosophy and waking up. And why do we do what we do? And how did I get in this fucking place where I am right now? How do I get out of it? Why do I feel like I need to take so many things in order to just feel myself again, or to avoid my feelings? So all sorts of things came up in the, you know, grounds of consciousness and spirituality, especially in the 70s and the 80s. I'm pretty old, but I'm working on that right now. So it was, for a child at the time, an amazing backdrop to work in. Just amazing to grow up in, because it confronted our structure, the way we interact with each other and how we relate with one another. And it also gave me, because I was in many workshops early on as a child, not fully understanding some of the adult dynamics and what was being played out in the field, because it wasn't relatable to me as a child. However, children are intuitive, yeah, they pick up on things. I was able to still be in this environment and receive so much, which was a wonderful experience for someone who later on came into this work and said, hey, wait a minute, this is something I want to offer and something I want to give back. So in essence, my background is not conventional. I have to be straightforward with that. It is not. I don't come from the corporate world. I don't come from that world of, having to meet a boss and say, yo, dude, you're the boss, respect, I can talk to you or I can't talk to you, or whatever the relational field is between you and your bosses, which I presume there are some people here who work with a boss, I did, however, because I was freaking out early on in my, 20s, go, fuck, I need to do something with my life, When Osho died, I was in my mid-20s, and I was like, what the hell do I do with my life? I've been living in a commune, so to speak, in an ashram in India. I'm not Indian, but, I look Indian, and I passed it off for a while. And it was an amazing experience, but then I come out into the big wide world, what do I do? So I kind of landed in a holy shit space, and that was great, because then it put me into the work environment, first time ever. I was never in a work environment before. I never had a credit card, never had a bank account, never had a car, never had practical worldly sense of how to function in the world. And then all of a sudden it came so hard, steamrolled in my life. And that time I worked a few years in .com business. I was in Steven Spielberg's digital domain when he was, pouring money, trying to get new people to come into this work. So I did have a taste of a few years of what .com world was like, and the environment that many of you work in. And I remember I had this cubicle. I don't know if they still exist, but I was in a box, essentially. Do you know what I mean by a cubicle? Do those still exist, by the way? It was really weird, because I didn't know who was working over there and there and there. We were all just like little rats, busy, busy, busy. But there was no interaction, there was no engagement, there was no connection, which was a stark contrast to my way of living in a community and in a very unified way. Very different. So, big wake up for me in a different world. And then, of course, I realized this is not for me. I needed to go live out something and experience something, which is where I ended up navigating to. But I came full circle realizing, and thanks to these two beauties, saying, hey, we also need this now. The beautiful thing in this, what's happening in this world today, is there's a big waking up to not wanting to do it the old way. The new paradigm is there's such a big thirst for it. Thanks to Donald Trump and people like him, we go, fuck, this is bullshit, man, when we're waking up to it. And now who do we have in the UK as the new PM? I don't know if you know, but they're dubbing him as the UK Trump, Mr. Boris. I will speak a bit. And as I speak, if you want to put hands up, you say you want to say something, blah, 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 please feel free to. I'm by no means on some agenda that I have to get, as much in there. If I get in some of the stuff, happy days. And if not, it's also okay. What's more important to me is to, reflect what's alive in the field right now and to rebound with you guys than anything. So please don't be shy to ask me a question. And also, if you guys want to jump in at any time. Cool. So this whole PowerPoint thing, forgive me, it's new to me, so I'm going to wing it and see how we go, Oh, I see a preview, but I'm not seeing my notes below, but fuck it, it's okay, we will wing it. So, authentic leadership, this is beautiful. Gijs and I were sitting today in a hot cafe, I was dripping, it was hot, and this is what we came up with, and he was talking to me and trying to get me to purge something, and he's really good, he's a strategist. Let's say it like this. So it was very beautiful. Authentic leadership is an approach to leadership that emphasizes building honest, open, genuine relationships with others, employees, friends, colleagues, followers, in order to empower and inspire them in recognizing their true potential and supporting them in connecting to their true selves. Authentic leaders are transparent with who they are trustworthy, inclusive, vulnerable, accountable, and willing to show their humanness, which also means to recognize the shadow side of leading. So when he asked me, for me, this was important. Yeah, to be able to, and it's so perfect because right now I'm going kind of a little bit head to heads with a guy who's a mirror from me. So everything surfaces. And if I'm really honest, I start doing my homework here. So it's a perfect timing to do this kind of stuff, yeah, and to talk about what the is leadership, yeah? What is true, authentic leadership? If I was really to own it, yeah? So, if authentic leadership is so important, then why are we not seeing enough of it in the world today? This is a beautiful term. Actually, you know what? You want to say something about it? Because it's the first time I ever heard of it. It's called, pronounced what? VUCA. Yeah? And you guys know about VUCA? It sounds like? Oh, I got some no's. You want to say what the hell is VUCA?
Yeah, well, it stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And basically what it says is like the world around us is changing so rapidly that you cannot like predict anything anymore. So what it basically says to any company or person or an individual is that you, instead of searching for foundation outside of yourself, searching for some vastness outside of yourself, searching within yourself to be more adaptable in order to comprehend with this inherent VUCA kind of world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And I think our system, our world is basically set up in such a way that we constantly try to find ourselves outside of each other. So we try to find ourselves within a career, or whether it be in a successful social media account, or maybe in your status or whatever. But actually you're losing more and more ground, more and more connection with yourself. And by that, losing more and more authenticity. Because who do we become? We become someone else's dream. We become the dream of the society, or we become whatever. So this VUCA world is basically taking us step by step more and more and more away of ourselves, whilst we are thinking that we are gaining more love or happiness or joy.
Can people relate to that? Anyone here? Just to see a show of hands? Yeah? Yeah. And I think we did a talk, it touches a bit on that need for achieving, which is that we feel like we've got to get to a certain place, a certain place, a certain place to get that status, that recognition, to being seen, which is, by the way, one of the most fundamental needs we have as humans, to be seen. Because being seen is associated with love, recognition, mother's recognition, father's recognition. Hey, Rups, I see you. But if you don't get that recognition on a regular basis, especially in your first 4 years, as Freud has pointed out, that sends different signals in I'm not good enough. And probably most of you can very much relate to the I'm not good enough statement somewhere in your life today. So we do a beautiful thing that we were saying in the achieving is we do everything to accomplish so that I don't have to feel the deficiency, the void of not feeling good enough. I can be better, I am more better, and we somehow compensate for that in so much around our need for certainty. That's such a big need because then I feel safe. But it's a false sense of safety. Yeah? Are you guys with me so far? Yeah? Why do I say it's a false sense of safety? Because when people come to me and they go, fuck, Rupda, I have everything. I got it. I got the car. I got the partner. I got the whole family. I got the whole thing, the house. The package is there. And why do I still feel like, why don't I have, the big joy is not there? Yeah. So we often run for something that is out here, outside of ourselves. And that's what Gijs was saying, this external need, yeah? Which is essentially pointing to what we feel is missing inside of ourselves. So our need for certainty, direction, and clarity. If I'm a leader and I know those things, I can already play the field in that. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. So let me go forward. Any questions so far? So what is limiting us from being authentic, especially in the work environment, but not only? We wrote here threatened fears, mistrust, and misuse of power, yeah? You know, in many ways, to really being authentic, to really being my true self is not abandoning what is truth from me. And what we do in the work environment, and many of us do it, and I know myself, because I've also worked with a gentleman in a status in my work environment right now, where we either, bend the truth or we deny aspects of ourselves to make it right for another. That's one part we do, yeah. We please the boss, Yeah, or we, you know, if you're in a leader position, specifically if you're in a leader position, you can feel threatened. If I'm really authentic and if I really show myself and I'm really paying attention to people's needs and I really show that I care, maybe they're going to take advantage of me. By the way, often people in leadership are as human as the next person. And they have their own set of wounds. They carry their wounds. They're as human as the next person. So they're going to have their issues around having the pain body of what it was to have either a dominating mother, a dominating father, or a missing mother, a missing father, overpowering, overburdening, overwhelming. So they're going to have their way, and it's going to infiltrate the way they lead. If they don't pay attention to that stuff, it's going to can happen hypervigilancy, they can have anxiety, they can start to get paranoid. What the fuck do these people want from me? If I put him there, if I put him in that position, all of a sudden they do a whole movie meaning-making story when they start to lead how they feel their staff or their employees or their colleagues are going to function. It brings up fear. Fear if I lose my position. Fear if they see that I really don't feel worthy. Or if I feel that I'm not good enough. What if they fucking figure it out? That I don't feel good enough. By the way, the Megalomaniac Syndrome, which is basically Trump, he's a perfect, you know, definition of megalomania. He doesn't even see it at all. Even if the whole fucking country says you're full of shit, he goes, you know, he doesn't see it at all because he's so in the unconscious, and that he's on a stepping stool that's so disconnected from true self. Yeah, he's abandoned himself. He's abandoned in many ways what's true for him. For what? Power, you know, position, status, false sense of I'm fucking God. And I have a feeling this guy feels like he's God. And this is the shadow side of leading. By the way, can anyone relate to a leader like that, who's kind of blindsided by their own ego?
Yeah, I of course, myself sometimes. We talked about this so much, and I look back now at some decisions or behavior I had, where I was like, there was completely misuse of power, knowing now. Not intentionally at that time, but looking back, I was like, wow. But it's a big learning, and then I think like to open up about it or to approach that person even maybe 4, 5, 6 years later, still have the guts to go back and you know what, and then I did this and this and said that and that, and maybe I shouldn't have done it that differently. But I actually want to ask you a question, like because you are now talking about leading and leading others, but what for you is a leader? Because you don't have to be a leader. You're not only a leader when you have like employees or like a coach or a team that you lead, right? So because I know you think like of everybody as a leader. True? So what is a leader to you?
I mean, everyone has the potential to stand in their own qualities of what leading means, yeah? Which is you lead by trusting yourself, by feeling self-empowered, by feeling connected. And that's what I'm going to lead into, by the way, no pun intended, yeah? But there's a healthy sense of leading and there's an unhealthy sense of leading. And that's also what I want to talk about next, which when I'm not connected to myself, when I'm in this fear that I'm going to lose my position, and the position doesn't have to be a status from high above. It can also be a position in my friends, yeah?
Exactly. For what I recognize these things, feeling threatened, fear, mistrust, or misuse of power. So, for example, I think back about me and in my relationship with my ex-girlfriend. And I said, yeah, definitely sometimes I felt threatened by her radiance, about her bigness, about her hugeness as a smart woman who's beautiful, and then I had fear, and there was sometimes I had mistrust, and even knowing that she loved me, I manipulated her in a way sometimes to feel good. Like I realize that now.
Yes.
So isn't that also a form of leadership I had in that, or anybody who's in a relationship is a leader in a sense?
Yeah. I mean, the word leading can imply two things. Huh? Also, you can mislead people, and you can lead them into a conversation. You can lead them in a direction you want to do. And a leader, which is essentially in many ways playing a role, like a facilitator, someone holding space. Okay, I'm going to lead you all. But it's a conscious decision. We have some spoken or unspoken contract that that's what's going to happen. Like right now. Yeah, somehow I'm holding this space, yeah? And yes, in relating, there is leading, and we can be very good at that, and we can be very good at manipulating, especially women, by the way. We can manipulate the fuck out of men, yeah? And men, you can do your version of it, yeah, for sure. We all do it, consciously or unconsciously. And we do it, and I say it again and again, if we strip away all the fucking stuff about the, the money, the power, the success, the deep need is to be seen, to be loved, to have connection, to feel like you belong. These are the fundamental needs that we all have. But we compensate for it. My God, what we do in the name of love. You want more?
No.
Yeah.
This is exactly the answer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He's good at getting shit out of me. Is this going to go on the radio that we're recording now?
I don't know. Style? Yeah, it's going to be...
Hi, Mom. Wow, they're going to figure out by now what's going on. Huh? So, misuse of power, the shadow side of leading. What does it create? So, of course, this is some of the things that happens when we go into the misuse of power. Manipulating, that's a big one. By the way, when I come up here, just like I said, I either gain your trust or I don't. But I gain some kind of place where the moment I come into any kind of leading and I hold a position, and I presume some of you are here not just because you're curious about how to lead your partner, but you're curious about holding space for people. Maybe, maybe not. But I can tell you right now, this position where I stand in is a very influential position. And if I decide to act on the weak points, remember what we said earlier, where I know your need for certainty, your cravings, yeah? Or if I manipulate the field in a particular way, that puts me in a misuse of power. Osho, the guy I was talking to you about, talks a lot about misuse of power, partly because we didn't have TV, but what we did have is we have therapists who walked around in different color robes. We all had to wear orange. They got to wear another color. Long story short, he saw misuse of power. He saw that when I'm in a therapeutic role, I have a certain status. It creates a false sense of, yo, check me out, yeah? Which, of course, then I can manipulate you with. And this is the shadow side of leading. Why do you want to lead? That's what I ask people. What is it in you that wants to lead? And if it's around wanting power, status, I would have a big question mark in that. And to look a little bit deeper into that. What is that need to have power and status? Yeah? If it's I want to lead because I want to, give back, yeah? I want to, contribute, yeah, which is another big fundamental need, yeah? Then that's different, yeah? So another one is bending the truth. I mean, most of us feel it when Donald Trump just opens his mouth. You know the joke about Donald Trump? How do you know when he's lying? He just opens his mouth. Boom, yeah? So bending the truth, and people feel it, yeah? And taking advantage of people. And by the way, we're doing it in relating. We do it consciously again or unconsciously. We take advantage of each other. And the feeling sometimes, and I hesitate to say this if it's being recorded, but the feeling is that especially if two people part ways and there's a lot of pain and the other one didn't want to part ways, the feeling is you used me. And it might not be true for the other person, but the feeling can be like you used me because you felt so disempowered in that separation. And you feel the other one has more of the power. Now we're just talking about balance of power here in relating. Of course, there's a balance of power between you and if you work with someone who is in a different position than you. Yeah? And that person working in a different position than you, by the way, how much time do they give you space to really hear what you have to say? Do you feel heard? Do you feel seen? Do you feel like they care? Do you feel like they give a shit? Or are you just meant to get on with your work? And would you do it differently? And how would you do it differently? And by the way, who's here seen the Netflix show Wild Wild Country? Holy fuck, man. I hope that's not why you're here, man. Shit, that's a lot of people. That woman who came into the environment, her name is Sheila. And Sheila came, when she was in India, she was another position. And then Osho put her in that position. What happened? All of a sudden, she was in a position with thousands of people who were under her, ready to say, okay, what do you want us to do, Sheila? Yeah? Well, let's build a city. Of course, what happened, in my opinion, is a massive misuse of power. She took advantage of people. She separated people. Yeah? She told people different truths. Let's say it nicely. Yeah? So, in many ways, you could go as far as that she almost was running a dictatorship. Almost. And what happened there? Because she was conscious. She was on a spiritual path. This was a fucking woman that was meditating every day, saying, "Om money pay me now," you know? Oh, "Om money pay me om." But "Om money pay me now" became her mantra. Yeah? What happened? It can happen to anyone. It can happen to anyone and in any relating situation, especially if we feel threatened, or we mistrust, or we're in fear.
Is this, to your opinion, how politics starts within a country?
It can be, yes. Because if we start to feel threatened of our home, our safety, by the way, we don't want to give up our safety. Feeling safe is another big fucking need. I need to feel safe. I need to feel certain that I feel safe. Are you the guy for the job? Okay, I vote for you. You just make sure I feel safe and I'm certain I'm going to have my job, that my kids are going to go to school. Yeah, and so on it goes.
You say it can happen to anyone.
Yes.
Out of nowhere. Do you really think that it's random?
I don't think it's random. I just feel like, and again, I speak about myself, yeah? I feel like we all carry a shadow side, potentially. What we do with that is up to us. She had all of a sudden at her disposal, not only thousands of people, but I think they calculated in the documentary, something like 90 million. That's a lot of money. And all of a sudden she had so much power. And now to keep really authentic and in track and in alignment with consciousness, she would have continued to receive feedback, engaging people, and to meeting them. But she didn't. She scared the shit out of people. And I was a kid, and I remember when I used to walk past her, all I could feel was fear that she was going to stop and look at me. And she always had like soldiers around her. And that's what I call them. They were not literally soldiers, yeah? Why? To instill fear. This is a misuse of power. Did I write instill fear? Yeah, instilling fear in people and disempowering people.
Yeah. But that reason why for one person they would become corrupted and the other person wouldn't? Like,
Well, one person could go, wow, I hold a lot of position here. Now, where's my integrity? Well, if they're conscious and they go, okay, because she was in a very, very amazing moment of time. Osho decided not to talk. He said, you run, I'm not talking. So for a few years, he basically didn't talk. So she all of a sudden had the run of the gamut, meaning anything what she said. She went every evening to Osho, and she would come back and say, Osho told me this. And all of a sudden, we were listening to her as her word was the gospel. Yeah. She had a choice that she could have said, hey, I feel like I'm stepping out of integrity. She could have done it a week later, a month later, a year later. She didn't do it. 4 years, 5 years almost. Yeah, and she had no one to answer to except for Osho. Yeah. Now, why? Power. Power, man. She had so much power. She would walk down the streets and she had power. And what does that give people? A false sense of I am the fucking shit. And it's happening a lot. There's a lot of people who want power. And that's why they go into politicians, to be politicians. By the way, I feel that most politicians, and this is again my opinion, bend the truth. They're not honest. Most, but not all of them. We have a few coming up now, like Alessandra Ocasio-Cortez, whatever her name is. She's a beauty, and she's now starting to question that, yeah?
And what would you see, what in your opinion is the difference between manipulating and persuading?
Well, I'm not a fan of the word persuasion. And so already for me, when I hear it, it's like I'm already I have an agenda to persuade you. So if I am your colleague or your boss or whatever, and I'm trying to get you to lift something for me, and I do it in a roundabout persuasion, gives me the feeling it's not direct. That's what it gives me, that I'm going to convince you. I could be wrong, but already I can feel like, if I would just say, yo, I can't lift this, I need your help. That feels more direct. Yeah?
Yeah, but for example, I can imagine.
Give me an example of what persuasion is for you.
Well, like I had a long dialogue with a media psychologist. He's a friend of mine, and I used to work with him a lot. And he's a persuasion specialist.
Uh-huh.
So what he does is he does his communication strategies and APIs. Like, apart from that, I was always asking him, okay, so when does it stop? When is it manipulating? When are you manipulating, and what is persuasion? Where's the line? Because what's the ethic code here?
Mm.
And he would teach me, and I think this is a fair
Example or?
No, definition. Fair
Definition.
definition.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, it becomes manipulating, or it is persuasion when you are not putting people in a specific situation which is against their own needs and will.
Yeah.
And that it will work against them. Then, if you do so, then it is manipulating.
Yeah.
But persuasion might still leaves them the choice, but you lead them into something, and you maybe. And so, as a coach, for example, or as a business leader,
Yeah.
if you want to inspire people by inspiring them in a really well way, asking them questions and getting them because you truly believe in a certain vision. So that's where I think, as a leader, for example, Sheila, maybe she truly believed that what she was doing was the best. Or maybe you say Steve Jobs, who was like a complete visionary, like by our society, completely adopted as an amazing person.
Yes.
But I know the way he did it, like, leaves some questions there. So as in business or in interpersonal relation, where do you draw the line, and what is good or what not? And
You know, when you say it is not against something, their own needs or their own values or their own beliefs, let's say, not against them, that's one aspect to it. Another aspect is then when it, I think it depends also on the person doing it, because if it's me still wanting to persuade that you're going to, there's no harm done, but I'm still getting you to do what I want you to do. I think it's contextual, meaning how the context of how it's used. Generally, the word persuasion means I have to influence you to do something. I have to get you, I'm persuading you by definition. I'm convincing you by definition. So, yes, I have
but
a
as
bit.
a therapist,
yeah.
are you not persuading? For example, you work with me a lot. We've been in
Yeah.
a session somewhere. Yesterday evening we've been in a session. You ask me questions, and you let me give answers to specific questions, and you raise my awareness. I see things all of a sudden, and then I want to go in that direction because I see it clearly. It's I who am seeing it. It's my choice.
Yes.
But yet you lead me to gain greater awareness.
To the
When is it not
awareness,
persuading?
I think maybe we have a different definition then, because I wouldn't call it persuading. No, but I wouldn't call that persuading. What I would call it is awareness.
Yeah?
Very different. Saying so
Yeah, I
is
would not say that you're persuading.
no,
But in
because
business, for example, it's like, where do you draw? And I'm not battling with this. It's just
no, please battle. By the way, guys, this is so important. What you're seeing right now is someone who can stand here and take and receive and listen and respond, not react. So important, yeah? Just please watch the little nuances if you can, because someone who's not comfortable in that will become very defensive, guarded, and attacking, and could even put the other person down, disempower them, and start doing this stuff, yeah? So it's really good to see how it can get played out, yeah? By the way, with the therapeutic aspect, for me, it's saying, yo, motherfucker, you got a big blind spot. Where do I feel like I see the blind spot? This is where I feel I see the blind spot. Correct me if I'm wrong. Am I wrong? Tell me if I'm... Yeah, and you know me, I'm always asking and checking in. And you can look at it and go, you can, at that point, you can, because you have choice, you can say, Ropes, I don't see that. Or, oh my God, I see that. The awareness is, because this is why I continue to work on myself, and by the way, that's another thing that's so important to me in leading, is that you continue to work on yourself as a leader. Always. You have not reached some place. For me, that's false. Because then I'm going, yeah, I know. I come from a position of I know, then I don't know. And in that regard, you have a choice to go, yeah, I get it, or I don't get it. What we're doing in essentially, beyond the therapeutic realm, the conventional, is we're mirroring each other. I'm saying, hey, is it possible it's this? Because I see a blind spot here. And then you can go, yes, or, oh, fuck, that got me. Yeah, I felt that. That's true. I felt that. Am I persuading you? No, because whether it either resonates with you or not, it's true or not. Am I going to try to convince you it's true? That's another thing. So this definition in my English interpretation of it, yeah, persuading is I am trying to tell you what's red is, green. Almost like trying to get you to over here, yeah? Versus saying, could this be true for you? Ooh, and you know how he knows, and I'll just say it, I work with 3 centers, head, heart, belly, belly representing body, body representing never fucking lies, is always talking to you, and you would, the moment we breathe, okay, is it true for me or not? Is he just saying a bunch of bullshit, or does that resonate with me? And you guys know we're sentient beings, we're intuitive by nature. You know when someone's pulling your fucking leg. You feel it. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't rest well. Persuading is a trigger word for me. It's like that other word, goal, you know? I know. So, but it's just, I just say it's mine, that I relate to it in a different way, yeah? But to say, pointing out blind spots or to influence, now there's an interesting, to influence another. And then I would say, you have to do a massive, so if I'm trying to fucking influence you guys right now to come take a ski trip with me, but you don't know that that's what I'm about to do, and I have an agenda in the back of my thing, and you have no idea, and slowly I'm going to start talking about ski boots and ski shirts, and I slowly bring it in, I'm dripping it in bit by bit by bit, but next thing you know, some of you are like, okay, I'm ready to go skiing with you, Rupda, which would be really nice right now, but yeah. Then I'm coming with an agenda. I'm not coming direct. Hey, guy, already, I want you to know, as we proceed, I've got a ski trip and I want you all to come. For example, yeah? And by the way, it's good that we're talking about this because I have a workshop on leading and I want you all to come. Yeah? Just to say it. You don't have to fucking come. But it's an energetic thing when people, it's very American, by the way. Hi, guys, here's this, and next thing you know, you're bombarded, yeah? They love that, yeah? So I think with influencing, it's just the integrity of where you feel you're coming in. That's why I can't do the big American sell at the end of one of my workshops, because it doesn't feel accurate to me.
Exactly,
yeah?
but I'm asking because, for example, those gentlemen over there, they lead a lot of people in
Yeah.
their companies, and
Yeah.
I know they are very keen on coaching also, that's part of their role.
Yeah.
And carrièrecoaching, loopbaanbegeleiding, how would you call it? But sometimes...
What was the translation to that?
To coach some people within
To
their
guide
career
people.
path, basically.
But to guide people is very different,
Yeah,
huh?
but then for example, because you are more aware in a certain field of work,
Yes.
you have more knowledge, more experience, then to steer someone in a certain direction because you know it's the
Yes.
best way to, when is it...
So if you come to me and you say, hey, Robs, I want to do what you do.
Yeah.
I fucking love it, yeah? I'm going to, we've just created an unspoken contract because they already agree with you somehow. They're already saying, I want what you got. Or I come to you and you're a coach and you're going to help me how to be a fisherman, whatever, because it's agreed. I've come to you consciously to do that. Okay, yeah, and then already we've created a very clean playing field, yeah, which is not me going, yeah, sure, yeah, but really I'm going to get you to do something slightly different. I'm coming. Then you're the expert in the field, and I want you to teach me everything about fucking fishing. And then you're going to teach me, and I'm already knowingly coming in, and you're going to show me, you're going to guide me and pace me, slow down, Rupda. Hey, you're getting too excited, you're putting too much bait, and da-da-da, because you are the expert in the field. And already, by the way, I do put some authority on this. Yeah, that's what we do. The moment we feel somebody is in a position, we put that authority on them. But just to see also, by the way, that's mine. We all do that, by the way. One of the things, one of my very close friends, I'll just say it that way, said to me, when you come out of this position and you come and you walk home and someone goes, wow, they were all fucking adoring you, they think you're amazing, that person said to me, Rupda, always remember when people put you up, what needs to happen at some point? What happens? They bring you down. It's just our human, we do it very consciously or unconsciously. When we go, we point our light onto someone, wow, they're amazing, they have it, I don't, yeah? Then we kind of somehow disempower ourselves. But what we're really seeing in that person is something we have. Otherwise we wouldn't see it. We see a quality that we like. We recognize something maybe that we want to recognize or remember or reconnect with in our lives. But it's not like somebody has it and you don't. So I don't come from that place, yeah? So when I come to you for fishing and I want all your expertise because I recognize that in you, but I also recognize it's what I want. I might not be as a good fisher person as you, or I might not be, if you're the piano teacher, I might not be as good as you. It's true. But I also recognize that I have a love and a passion for that. So someone who's playing in the leadership role as a guide, yes, it's already known. If I'm coming to a coach, if I'm coming to someone to help me, that I'm coming to them saying, help guide me. It's clear. When somebody comes to me, they immediately say, hey, Rupda, I just recently had a CEO of a company come to me and ask me, can you guide me through something? And it was just agreed. And then I challenged him. By the way, if someone comes to you and you're in a leader or a coaching position, it's good to challenge people. It's really good to, because they're coming for a reason, to step out of their small-minded box, to challenge them. And I always ask, because what's so important is to ask, give choice. Is it okay right now if I challenge you? What you just said, can I challenge you? And if they say no, I go, okay, respect. And when I do that, what does that create? Creates trust. Immediately, it creates respect. If I overstep their boundaries and I say, motherfucker, you don't get it. You're not listening to me, which is another way of leading, by the way, and some people fucking love that way of leading. But what that does to me and to some people, it terrifies. Puts them in a, but if you start talking to me like this, you're empowering me, and then I start to feel like, wow, it's possible. What was I saying to you earlier today? A great leader to me is when they all leave and they all felt like they did it themselves. It had nothing to do with me. That is an amazing leader because they're not dependent on me anymore. Of course, it's not a great sales pitch, but I think it's even better because they go, whoa, that was amazing. I want more. Yeah? You're helping them find their true potential. I have what it takes. I have something to offer, which is the ultimate. This is pretty much Donald Trump right here. Betrayal, that's horrible. And I maybe some of you have had it, where a boss says, yeah, you got the job, you're the perfect guy for the job. Don't worry, you got the job, and 2 weeks later, some other guy gets the job. But people are behind talking, the betrayal, talking behind the back and not being honest. It's the worst. Betrayal in therapy, by the way, is one of the hardest things to recover in. Also, grief is another one. It's a real hard one because then you go into so much mistrust. And I often say, you really take a 360 degree of your work environment if you feel that people are betraying you. And gossiping is another one, yeah? And you know the term lead by example, and sometimes you're in such a toxic environment that it's almost impossible. Then I say, really evaluate the environment you're working in to see, is this supporting growth and connection and inspiring me to want to be a better person? Or is this making me contract and contract and contract? Only you know the answer to that, but be honest with yourself, yeah? And single-mindedness, I think that pretty much says what a leader who's only single-mindedness, not open to feedback, not open to hearing what other people says, think they know it all, stand in a particular position of, yeah, I got it, I don't need you. It's the worst kind of leader in a way, sadly. Whether it's even in a relationship. Being in a relationship with somebody who's single-minded, maybe in the beginning they looked amazing because they were like, yo, hey, how you doing? Check me out. Yeah, but after a while you start to realize this doesn't change. The package is the same again and again, yeah? There's only one dimension to this ego, yeah? Themselves. Yeah, I'm sure some of you know a few people out there. Any questions so far? I'm going to go forward. Yeah, yes.
You were talking about gossiping, and I'm curious what you think about it, because I do see a lot of colleagues gossiping, but somehow that leads to a connection between the group who gossips. They actually connect way better together.
Women, we have to be a bit careful with the gossiping thing especially, but it can happen. I can only say about gossiping because anyone here been wounded by gossiping? Yeah, so I can say that gossiping, and especially as kids too, because it doesn't feel good. Gossiping, if we're disempowering or if we're putting someone down, 5 people, we're on putting them down, I know in myself it doesn't feel good. Even if I'm fucking pissed off at that person, I just know I'm not in integrity. I feel it. And I can almost feel their pain. So something says there's another way to connect. Yeah, that's where I would go. Is there another way to connect? Because I really love these women. I'm having so much fun. But do we need to tear down that person in order to connect? For example, yeah, I'm being a bit extreme because gossiping can be it's toxic in many ways. It contaminates the field because especially if I'm in a position of power, and I've been talking with some people lately about that, you can have the top people gossiping about 1 or 2 people in an organization, and if everybody starts to hear it, it can be detrimental massively, especially if you're in a position of power.
But it was like, since we do this a lot with each other, but since you brought us in the field, and we work now a lot together also with our staff therapists, and then what we do when people start gossiping, like for example when Vivi starts talking, for example, about Rupda when she's not there, the whole group would say, or somebody who would spot it would say Jinga. Who said Jinga? And then she knows immediately, oh fuck, I was talking about someone who was not here, we would just expose them. We would not be pissed, because everybody does it sometimes, unintentionally maybe. We just say Jinga, I would rather not do that, because you just flip this domino stone that will tick, 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 tick so many, and all of a sudden I have a story about Rupda that I never had, which I don't want you to contaminate my view about her. So we challenge each other on, because everybody does it sometimes, even unintentionally.
That's good because I have actually the opposite colleagues saying, what do you think of her?
Yeah, and there's a part that we revel in it too, huh? There's a part like, ooh, you can revel in it. Yeah, let me tell you what I think about her, man. And then there's like my superego gets to get something out of it. And yet, on a deeper level, I know it's not okay. Because I wouldn't want the same person to do the same about me, of course. And that Jinga word is a word I created in another workshop, which was just like, we never have to explain it. All you have to do is say Jinga, and I go, oh, yeah, right, we're talking about something. It doesn't feel right. And it's so nice. And because we started from the ground up, day one, with, ground zero, I said, guys, and I brought in very clear with these 2 people. And remember what I said at the beginning, transparency, honesty, including myself as a leader, bringing in my pain, bringing in my wounds, exposing myself, sharing, being honest, yeah? Lead by example. And I shared with them, I have got a lot of fucking wounds in this area around gossiping. It's so painful, and I've got so much stuff I carry in it. And I want ground zero, because there's a bunch of us, and we're growing, by the way. The staff for Deep Dive is growing. Sorry, I should say the team, because they're all in therapeutic position. To say, let's not do this gossiping.
We even use it, because you don't only gossip about others, you gossip about yourself. Sometimes out loud even, mostly internally, you have this voice, we call it internal, but then we say Jinga as well. When, for example, she would come here and she would be saying, yeah man, I did this presentation really quickly this afternoon, and sorry if the slides, if there's a spelling mistake or something, you would say, Jinga, what the fuck are you doing? You're now talking yourself down. It's actually the exact same thing. And it just creates this fucking downward spiral, whether it is relating to others or relating with yourself. It's insane.
That was the birthplace, by the way. I do a workshop called Self-Worthy. And the birthplace is how we our negative self-narrative to ourselves. I get ready, let's just say I got ready, and I spent 2 hours to figure out what to wear. So not true, but let's just say. And then I look in the mirror and I check myself out, and I go, what the fuck were you thinking, man? And I start going, the inner critic, Jinga. And so when So when I do the self-worthy, I teach people about the whole Jinga, watch what you say to yourself. And then when I then put it out on him, let's say we're going on a dinner date, and I go, you're wearing that, because I've just judged myself, huh? And then I say to him, you're wearing that, that's a stinga, yeah? So, and if he gives it back to me, it's a binga, so we became this whole language play. But essentially, we want to watch for that dialogue, because what we do internally, we can also do externally about other people. Huh? It's just a projection, really. It says a lot more about me when I'm gossiping than anything. Yeah?
I have one question.
Please.
Gossiping, if you have because you normally see when people start gossiping,
Yes.
office, or even that people, because someone is higher in the hierarchy in the organization, they want to say something about the person, but they don't say directly, and they come, for example, to me or whatever. It's
Yes.
the other way around. So people want to have their frustrations gone, but they may be scared to be honest or open to the person who they are frustrated about because they are higher than them. How would you deal then with being,
Well,
because it's kind of gossiping.
it is. And if I was in the work, and this is what kind of happened, but if I was in the work, in your work environment, and I was coming in and saying, okay, how can we, and I was able to work with your colleagues in this, I would start from the top. First thing, are you communicating in a very honest and reflective way with your staff for the next peers and the next peers? What is the communication level? And that's a big one, and we all know that in any organization, even in my spiritual organization. Yeah? Are we communicating? And if we're not, what do we need to do in order to communicate? To open up the dialogue so that the ripple effect of what you're with is just a response to something that's not working. And so in that particular situation, if you are the middle person in this particular, dynamic, I would then call to attention to your superior and say, hey, there's a communication that needs to happen. Now, it's usually strip away the titles and the job and the outfits and the cars and all that. It's usually just some fundamental needs of being seen, being heard, getting that respect, feeling like you belong, feeling like you're valued, all those kinds of things, yeah? But I would definitely communicate. Great position to be in, by the way, because I believe it's a position of transformation when you're able to link people together. So what can you do? Very simple. There should have been a long list here, but all I wrote was, be true to yourself. And essentially, what does that mean? And for me, it's doing your homework. For me, if you see me working with people and you go, wow, she's full of shit, yeah, I'm not doing my homework. If you see me working with people and you go, wow, she has something, I feel her, she's feelable, she's relatable, she's reachable, she's accessible, she's transparent, she's honest, she's trustworthy, I feel I can come to her, I'm doing my homework. And I continue to do my homework. I'm never arriving at a place. So that's why I was saying to Gijs, for me, the goal-oriented thing, yeah, it's beautiful. You guys need to set goals. That's part of the work. Yeah, that's the framework of how you work. Many of you work. And at the same time, when we're talking about a spiritual, like a whole well-being and leading, it is a continued journey. It is. And people feel it when you're doing the work. People feel it when you're congruent and walking your talk. They feel it. Because then they feel like they can come to you. When any time I feel when somebody can't come to me, I go, whoa, what have I created? What is my part in creating that I gave the person that they should feel intimidated by me in any way? That they feel they couldn't come to me. What is my part in it? And by the way, for me, a great leader is someone who's willing to look at their part in anything that surfaces. Because one of the things I say in all my workshops is existence doesn't make mistakes. So the lesson learned here, if there's a conflict and I'm pissed off at you because you're not delivering, it also says something about me. It also says something about my communications and how I'm managing people or coaching people or leading people. It reflects a lot on me as well. So it's not a one-sided thing. I always look at it as a whole picture. Yeah, does that make sense? So I'm always doing my homework. I have somebody in Canada, I call up, hey, can you help me, support me? I have some blind spots here, something I'm facing right now. Can you give me a little bit of direction? Boom, boom, boom. To keep receiving the child, keep growing and expanding my field of awareness so that I can hold a bigger framework. Yeah? Sorry, who said so?
No, I wanted to ask.
Yo.
So if you could give anybody here who's in a position of being within their work, for example, or even maybe within a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
like what's the first thing you would do as a starting point to create a more honest, open, true, genuine connection?
I'm just giving Fleurs the vodka. It's actually vodka, but we put it in a water bottle. I love that question because it's very simplistic stuff. And first of all, if somebody's a coach here and their mission is to lead authentically and to do their homework and they're really doing the work, I would say work with them. That's one beautiful aspect. Work with somebody who's doing conscious leading or authentic leading, who's doing the work, yeah? That's one, because they're a soundboard. They're helping reflect back to you as well. It's always good. Another thing is to know thyself, to go from doing mode to listening mode. Oh, what's going on right now, Rupda? And I do a check-in all the time. How can I be here with you, and with you, and with you, and with you, if I'm not listening to this? If I have no idea what's going on here, that's inauthentic to me. Because then I'm just placating to you, and I'm not honest to this. Thank you. The first place of honesty is here. The first place of trust is here. The first place of authenticity is here. Right here. And then, so already that's a big one. If I start, and by the way, remember what I said about boundaries? So, if a boss or somebody comes to me and goes, Rups, I need you to what do I really want to say? I might want to say no. Or a partner, I might want to say no. Can I say no? Do I give myself permission to say no? Or can I talk about it with them? No is one of the hardest things for us to say. Because we need to deliver, or we need to perform, or we compensate for it, or we compromise for it. Because of fear of saying no. Yes, you can say no. It might not be, hey, no, fuck off, you know. Of course, you won't have a lot of friends if you say that, yeah? At the same time, you need to be loyal to this. If you abandon this, you'll find yourself in a particular role through life where you're pleasing everybody. And one day you're just going to get angry and frustrated. Fuck, I abandoned myself. Or you go into a depression, which some of you know, by the way. So being loyal to this, sometimes it's too much. Hey, yeah. If I'm talking with Heist, let me just use Heist because we all know him, right? If he says, Rupda, I need you to deliver, and I could say, yes, I want to do it. And I need time. I'm overwhelmed. It's a lot for me right now. I got the kids, I got my partner, I got to travel, and I explain to him, but I don't overstep my own boundaries. Otherwise, what happens? I end up compensating, I end up crashing, I end up burning out. You guys know this stuff, yeah? Do I really deliver in the end? Is it at the level that I would have liked to have? So the communication's important and being honest with this, loyal to this. If I'm disloyal to this, who am I going to get pissed off at? And then who's it going to come back at? And what kind of relationship do we have then? And we can do that in relationships, we can do that in work environment, and it just continues on and on and on like that. In Aboriginals, by the way, I live in Australia. The Aboriginals, we point here, 3 fingers back at me. Yeah? It's always going to hit me as well. Sorry, go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah, well, so I basically asked the question, one thing we could do, either in our relationship or in our working field. So for example, what we always do when we start working, the three of us, we always start with, before every meeting,
yeah, that's good.
1 to 3 to 5 minute silence.
10 minutes.
So yeah,
we do 10 minutes. No, but it's important you say. Did you hear what he said?
No, but we started off, we started off with 1 minute because I couldn't hold it. Yeah. And then eventually,
that's true.
You helped me. And
I'm glad you're on. I'm glad you're being honest about it. Good.
Okay,
all right.
So now we do 10 minutes silence, and then we take 3 minutes of sharing each. And so the sharing exercise, for example.
5 minutes.
So we have a company here, Rockstar Lifestyle, where we have like a bunch of employees, and I would very much like to introduce the concept of sharing, for example. But I'm a little bit hesitant because I am a little bit afraid that how it will land, if people can get there. But I think that, for example, is an amazing tool, and you can tell a little bit about it, that because I advise to big companies as well, I would love to introduce it there in our culture strategy, for example, because it will work magic. But how, do you think that is a good tool we might be introducing here? Second, if so, how can I or we introduce that, for example, in the working field where people are a little bit more against?
I feel like it's crucial because it hits the communication bar big time. Yeah, and I thank you for bringing it up. And you can see I just did this in a coffee shop on the way here because it's not normally my forte. Gijs put my photo on there. I didn't put my photo on there, just for the record, yeah? But it's a really good one. And what he's essentially saying is we met, when we came together, we took 5 days, these two beauties here, and 3 of us, we met. And one of the things I said was, it's for me not to lose sight of the very thing that's important to me, which is the work that we're doing. And whatever it is in your environment, obviously every business and organization has a purpose, and not to lose sight of that. And one of the things that's important for me is to be still, just for a fucking moment, and just to feel. By the way, we live in a culture that doesn't want to feel. And we do all sorts of things not to feel, but we don't need to go in that. It's another workshop. And I said, I want to include it in the way we run and organize our leading this particular new venture together. And it was beautiful because they're so game, because they're so into it. They're so on board because it's changed their lives. Essentially what it is we sit down, we've made this agreement. I'm going to go to the full extent and say, we said 10 minutes, non-doing, non-talking, just being still. Buddha's been meditating for thousands of years. Half the bloody planet's been meditating for thousands of years. So you include India alone, that's 1 billion right there. And China as well. Meditation is not new, guys. It stills and calms and allows you to go to listening. How am I feeling? And I know that being when the 10-minute bell is going to ring, that we get 5 minutes to share, but not about work. Oh yeah, so I got this project coming up and the task and da-da-da. No, we're not allowed to talk about that. We're going to talk about, not I think, but I feel. And what does that do? It changes the climate between us, the environment between us. All of a sudden it's authentic space we're creating because I can be real now. I've set up, and they've set up, a terrain that says, okay, we're going to be true and honest. So then I talk about things like, oh, you know, in my relationship right now, I'm struggling a little bit. I need a little bit of space, or I want more connection, or I'm facing something with my parents and so on. And I'm just being very real. And what does that do? It creates more authentic relating between us. And they then do the same. Then we're more truthful, we're more honest. I can trust, I'm not suspicious. I'm not like strategizing. I'm not going, oh, I need to dominate, I need to manipulate, I need to get my way, misuse my power. It changes everything. Everything. Because we're saying, let's open the lines of being honest. And it's so simple. How much time did that take in the end? 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes plus 10 minutes. Half an hour max of your time. That can change the core of how you relate with another. By the way, I do a lot of couple relating, yeah, when they come to me. And one of the first things I say to them, are you sharing? You know, and sometimes they've been together 5 years, 10 years, and they're stop sharing. They stop going, wow, what are you feeling? What are you thinking? Remember when you first get together with that person? It's like, wow, I want to know everything about you. Wow, man. You like chocolate? I like chocolate. Wow, that's amazing, you know. But after a while, it's like, hi. Yeah, no. You know, so we distance ourselves. So that communication. And I still get people writing me going, Rupda, we're still sharing, and it's amazing. Every Sunday, sacred Sundays, we share. 10 minutes each, boom. Can change your relating. Yes?
Yeah, a little thing that I really would like to add before people start doing this, that there are some more rules.
Yeah, there's some, yeah.
First of all, a lot of these things, like rationally, from the mind, you can conceptualize it, you can understand it, but really try it. Just try it, do it, because in the experience you have, there's the knowing and really understanding.
Feeling it, yeah.
In that the feeling, of course.
Yeah.
But when you start sharing in those 5 minutes where you share, you don't have to go down the black slope immediately, say about how uncomfortable you were having sex last night or whatever. Like, you can start with easy topics for you that feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But most important thing is that when, for example, Bibi sharing or Rupda sharing, that we do not ask any questions. We do not respond to anything. Her truth, her reality is the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Because we know that her perception on her reality is her perception. It's something might look different, but we let that be. And later, after sharing, even if she was like, for example, I'm bawling and I'm having such a hard time in my relationship, then later, maybe 2 hours later, I cannot approach her asking like, hey, but you were sharing this and this and this, so can I give you an advice? Although it's really good with a good intention, you leave it, you drop it. It's those 5 minutes, it's hers, and if she wants to talk about it, she will come to me and talk about it.
Ask for support, yeah.
This is really important, because otherwise the next time people will not share.
Yeah.
But if you do this, it's a super simple tool. Like, try it with your boyfriend, try it with your girl, try it with friends. Fucking try it with a friend. It's amazing. You fucking fall in love with this person. It's the truth. As soon as you start speaking the truth.
And if you're doing it in relationships, to be very mindful and aware that when it's your turn to share, based on what they just shared, you don't go, and you, and you, and you. You speak about I feel. Now, if I lead from a place of I feel, or I take responsibility, or I am accountable, it's a very different place than I blame and attack, project, and complain, victimize, and so on. Yeah, there's a whole strategy that the superego can do, but the intention is to keep it really clean. And women, please listen up. If you're going to go home and say to your babe, hey, babes, let's do some sharing now, right? Now here we do it, 5 minutes, bing, bing, bing. Being aware that in the beginning, the guy, men don't always go straight to feelings like sometimes women. They need time to not put that pressure on them, to allow them, if they first talk for the next, I had it where a woman was like, he was only talking about, going out to nature and, doing his little, man thing and walks, and it's no big deal. He's not really sharing, but give him time. And slowly, he starts to go, aha, this is good. I'm starting to feel something here. But women are a bit more, So we have to watch that part in ourselves.
Are you going to talk about Bruno or so?
Bruno. Bruno is the name that I give as the superego. As everybody know, the superego, it's the inner judge, it's the critic, it's the voice in your head that goes, you're not doing enough, you need to be better. You need to be better, you're not doing enough. And we all have that voice in there, that pressure that we take. And then we take it, and what happens? We compare ourselves to other people, which is the worst. When you compare yourself to other people, it's such a damaging internal dialogue. Yeah, you have to be really aware of that. And I catch myself doing it, and I go, Bruno, shut the fuck up. I gave it a name because it gives a consciousness and awareness, because I don't know how to turn it off. If anyone figures out how to turn that voice off, please let me know. But what I have learned in the 40 plus years of doing this kind of work is bringing awareness to it. Really bringing awareness to that voice, that it's not the sum of who you are, yeah? That we're much more than that. We have a lot of potential, we have a lot of light, we have a lot to give, yeah? I want to keep going, is that okay? Before everybody passes out on me, yeah? So, what would it look like? Essentially about if I was really to be authentic, both with yourself and with others, trusting yourself, I already said something about that, and regardless of what other people think around comparison, trusting yourself. Trusting what you have what it takes, and not comparing and competing with other people, but working from a framework of collaborating. I have to say, you guys, in my opinion, because I'm in my 50s, but a lot of you guys here are in your millennials, and you already come from a different perspective, already working with these two, because I work with another organization. I'm intentionally not naming the name so that I keep it really respect to that organization. They are people who are much older than me, 20 plus, my senior, So they come from a framework of, like this, a little bit more like this, Okay. And you know how they say when you get older, you can be a bit like this, And then these guys come in and they come from a framework like this. How can we collaborate? How can we unify? How can we align ourselves with each other, How can we support each other? Completely different framework. And this framework, I hope, continues to grow in the leading and in the way we relate with one another, Inclusion is such a beautiful thing, by the way, to include another, willing to show our humanness, that I'm flawed. Anyone who's done the deep dive knows that I'm very honest with where I stand, and I'm still fucking working on myself, that I still got stuff to deal with. And I'm open, and I'm not elevating myself and saying I've come to some big place in myself, and then boom, and that's me. I'm not authoritarian at all. So from that place, willing to open up means I'm also willing to grow. People love it. Fuck, man. She's willing to grow. She's doing the work, Or he's doing the work. And awareness, meaning being aware of what it is you do, aware of how you try to get what you want. Are you doing it with authentic integrity? Am I being honest with it, or am I just trying to get what I want, not caring about other people, Does that make sense, guys, so far? Any other questions so far? I'm going to go a bit further because Gijs, you did this one. Gijs, you wrote this one. Everybody. What would the world look like if everybody was, more authentic, A place where we'd be more honest with each other. That's why I said with a deep dive, ground zero, I said, guys, I bring in all this knowledge and wisdom from a previous organization, and I don't want to do it the same way. I want to do it from scratch, where we're honest, where we open up, where we share, where we don't gossip, where we clean up our stuff the moment stuff is on the table. Clean it up. The moment something's on the table, it creates friction. And we will all know, oh, out there orbiting, there are people gossiping, and it creates a friction. It's not clean. Yeah? So it creates also, when we start to do it, deeper connections, trust. How many people here fully trust? Trust is such a big fucking issue, huh? We all somewhere mistrust. What does she really want? What is he really saying? Why did he look at me that way? What was he doing? What was he thinking? We all go into mistrust without even consciously knowing. But if we can lead from a place of creating trust, oh, so different. People start to open up to you. I get people opening up to me, telling me things. Yeah, it's a beautiful place to stand in, to be able to hold people in that, and also to hold yourself in that, yeah? Of course. Collaborating and supporting and enabling others to a higher ground. By the way, anyone here who've been to South Africa? Ubuntu. It's a beautiful term. I am because we are. It's like helping another person up to your place who are struggling, yeah? To always supporting others, yeah? If you don't know Ubuntu, please look it up. It's a great thing. Nelson Mandela is a great representation, in my opinion, of a leader who includes, because he could have come out after 27 years of Robben Island in a jail cell, which I stood in his jail cell, by the way, so small, and he could have come out and said, you know what? Fuck the white people. It's payback time. But he didn't. He did something that I wish Nazi Germany would have done, the Israelis with the Palestinians would have done, the Americans with the Native Americans, and the Australians with the Aboriginals. He took busloads and busloads and busloads of people, black African people, and he brought them to villages and towns, to the court system, and he brought in reconciliation. He had open dialogue in the court system. He had the perpetrators being listened to by the victims, saying, what you did and you caused, the pain you caused, and the losses that I have. And he created an open dialogue. Unbelievable. It changed the whole alchemy of that country. Of course, they got a lot of shit to work on. They got a lot of imbalances in that country. Not going to happen overnight, but he already did something that should have happened in a lot of places where genocide happened. What the Native Americans, Indians, what's happened to them, if you lived in America, I have, it's horrible what's happened to them, but nobody talks about it. What happened, I now live in Australia, nobody's talking about it. You know, we had a guy in Australia, a prime minister, he only said 2 words and everybody was crying. He's a leader. He's no longer around, Kevin Rudd. He stood up and finally the Aboriginals said, hey, what you did to us was a genocide. He finally, one day, and it was announced days before, we were all glued to our TVs, and he said 2 words and the whole nation cried, myself included. He said, I'm sorry. That was it. I'm sorry. It was amazing. That's all they needed to hear. That's saying we've made a mistake, we fucked up. That's admitting your humanness, yeah? It was a very powerful moment. So, I like that. This is me. And Gijs, you want to say something?
Yeah. Well, what I gotta say. So in September you're gonna be doing the first one.
September, I'm doing the first one. Yes.
And I'll be there. I'll be joining. So and I'm very committed in bringing in as much people as possible into this work, because yeah, man, for me, this work and to be able to really look closely at yourself and by that connecting to others is like a really game changer. It's gave so much, like as if a veil of like a black cloth, a little bit transparent, got pulled off of me, makes me see so much more color in so many more things, and gives you so much more knowledge. And Rupda has designed a new leadership training,
Yeah.
which teaches us more. The first session will be more diving into yourself, so it's quite intense. It will be painful in a way, and then she's teaching you tools like nonviolent communication, but also body language and etc. to being more able to connect with others and help others, and also by that helping yourself.
That'll help you. So a lot of it, what he's saying, is essentially working first with this There's a beautiful quote, but I didn't put it on. About leading authentically and being able to willing to, oh, sorry, that was me. Oh my God. That was me. Oh, the master is talking.
We'll send out an email.
We'll send out an email. But essentially working on this first. And I have people who come up to me and say, I want to learn how to do work with group dynamics, whether it's in corporate world or nonprofit and so on, yeah? To work and hold people in the space. And, you know, also learn tools and skills in leading, yeah? Whether or not you are leading in a work environment. So it's not conventional. You're not going to get PowerPoint presentations, and it's really hands-on, practical, and also facing this.
So everybody who wants to join in September, just reach out to me. I'll make it happen.
There you go.
I'll be there. I think you want only 10 people in, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. So only 10 people, 3 days. It's quite intense. It's going to be mind-blowing. We're going to get to know each other quite well, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the end, no, Rupda?
Yes. Essentially, it's the end. And I was meant to say one other thing at the end, but I cannot remember. Something with you beauties or something.
Me neither.
No? Okay.
Let's leave it at this.
Okay. Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, this amazing little woman has literally reached out and touched my heart like 2 years ago, and yeah, man, thank you so much. Every day it's a blessing. We have so much fun and so much love, and I'm learning so much. I hope you sometimes learn a little bit via me or through me or whatever. I think listening to you, Rupda, again, I can never get enough of this. I hope you were inspired as well. But if I was to give you one thing to leave here, it would be read the book. Actually, you were the one I think recommended to me once. It's called The Four Agreements.
Oh yeah.
By Don Miguel Ruiz. Mm-hmm. It's like a really slim book. You read it in one evening. It has 4 agreements. I think those 4 agreements, if you were able to uphold those 4 agreements, you can say you are an authentic leader. Because it's really about speaking the impeccable truth. It's taking nothing personal, etc. So that book, The 4 Agreements of Don Miguel Ruiz, it's amazing. Read it. And it's a really how-to in becoming a more authentic leader. Yeah?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for showing up. Thank you, beauties.
So, are there people who have questions for Rupda? Whether leadership related or more regarding the deep dive, for example, which we are doing?
I have actually, but more just topic what we
Yes.
might discuss here.
Yeah.
About doubting and insecurity or uncertainty. If
Yeah.
you are leading or maybe guiding, and maybe there's a difference as well, maybe nuance, I don't know. But if you in the field of making decisions, and for example, you're in front of a group, there's an emergency, you have to show them, you have to make the decision, you go left or right, but you're not sure. So when do you need to be, when are you strong or authentic or too authentic, or maybe not, if you might doubt and people actually need someone actually showing them the way.
Doubt, you're saying doubt. Yeah. By the way, I'm not sure if you can be too authentic, but you can be too direct sometimes, and that's why that's why I frame a lot of things in my languaging, and I talk a bit about that in questions, yeah, like how would it be, and is it possible, and could this be true, yeah, so that they decide if it's right for them, because sometimes it's not right for them, yeah. And when you're standing in this position, and I'm in a therapeutic realm, and sometimes the room is this big, and somebody's having a panic attack, and another person's going a little bala bala, oh my God, and all of a sudden a leader in this position, if they don't know how to hold the room, it can tank the whole room, because everyone watching realizes you can't hold it. And you've placed yourself in this position, and it feels like a ship all of a sudden going down. Once you lose trust in the group, that's not a good thing, of course, because then all of a sudden it's very hard to recover from that, yeah? So a lot of grounding, and we didn't say that, but a lot of grounding work, a lot of work on listening to yourself. Remember what I was saying about 10 minutes of sitting in silence? Osho often says if you can't meditate 20 minutes a day, then meditate 1 hour a day. It's kind of a joke, because people go, I don't have time to meditate. Then you need more time to meditate, yeah? You need more time to know thyself. The more grounding work I do, I go, okay, they're freaking out, that person's freaking out, and this person's talking, and I'm working with this person. I clearly can't be in 3 places at the same time, and the whole group is looking at me. what is she going to do here? Yeah? And then immediately, you're thinking from a very grounded place, not from a panic place. If I go to panic, self-doubt will come in. I lose my sense of trust. I go, oh shit. So I go, can you hold on one moment? Can I just get you to hold on? And then hey, can I get you to go be with them and can you take them out? Is that okay? And then you're slowing everything down, staying very connected to what's happening here so that you can pace it. Because if you lose your natural rhythm and you overcompensate, you lose your ground. Yeah, this is something that happens a lot in leading, yeah, is overcompensation. I want to make it right for you. And then I lose myself, I betray myself, I'm disloyal to this. When I find this grounding work is first base chakra. I don't want to get into the chakra thing, but it's I'm here and I have a right to be here. And you can't give me that right. I need to claim this right. And if I don't claim this right, I need to work on the obstacle that gives me the right to be here. Not a right in pushing you over, but a birthright of, oh yeah, I give myself permission to be here. I'm not asking for it, I'm giving it to myself. But it's a very respectful place I take. Yeah? It's not a dominating place, very different. So that's another place where we go, yeah, I have a right to be here, okay. And then I can able then work from that place, which is a different functioning place than from this place. Does that make sense? This is where doubt lives. Samurais are in the belly chakra. And you can try to push a samurai over, and they're so solid presence. I'm here, and I have a right to be here. When I go up, 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 I'm gone. Back to breathing, yeah? That's one thing. Please.
You mentioned one thing I think is really interesting just now, that saying, if I cannot be here, cannot stand, and don't allow myself to be here, then there is something else I need to work on.
Yeah.
Can you explain?
Yeah, but it touches the, because when I work with people around boundaries work, because I do a lot of other workshops, yeah? One of the things is, I have a right to be here. Some people can't even say that. On planet Earth, I have a right to be here. And it can touch a big wound in people, and often that wound is worthiness. Can I really be worthy to hold this place and be here? Why me and not him? Yeah, and then the mind does, my Bruno does a whole, why, it's amazing what this internal dialogue does. You guys know it. And once you realize that I can be here, yeah, of course you relax in that, yeah? You don't have to compensate. But the road, the journey between I can be here, can be a big journey for people. And often the obstacle is unworthy. I'm not worthy of it. And you have to then deal with some of the core issues around where did you lose your worthiness? Was it mama, papa, an environment? Was it a circumstance, event, Often something early on in our childhood. Teacher called you stupid in front of a class, shame, humiliation. I must not be good enough. I'm stupid. I believe it. Boom. How do I have a right to even stand here and be seen without compensating? For me, Donald Trump is compensating for a very wounded little fucking boy, in my opinion. Because if he had relaxed presence, if he had authentic presence, it wouldn't come out like bravado. He would be comfortable to allow people to speak, and he wouldn't be so defensive. He would be able to, respond. Different. Yeah, he wouldn't be questioning himself. Does that make sense?
And then the journey between from being more anxious towards more relaxed and confidence might show you that you don't want to be in that space.
Yeah.
All along, your journey towards that space was a compensating behavior.
Yeah, it can be. That's why I said, why do you want to lead? If it's for more power, status, being seen, sitting in front of the mirror for a few days, just for fun, and go, whoa, okay, shit, man. If you want to lead because you really want to contribute and give something back from an authentic place, from a place of, really caring and wanting to support others, that's different. Of course, your journey, like, what if I had that intention? I want to support others, and then I get here, and then I realize, actually, I don't want to do this. Yeah, well, then, of course, it's also okay, but I found my power. You didn't give it to me, and you certainly can't take it away from me. It's a beautiful feeling to feel empowered. Yeah? It's good. Any other questions?
I have one.
Yes.
How to best help a non-authentic leader to become an authentic leader. Of course, without
That's a bit of a conundrum. How to best help an authentic...
non-authentic.
Oh, non. Oh, got it.
So how to be or how to best
Yeah. Okay, got it.
different perspectives.
Well, and I always say this, and I said it to these two, because when we started working together in the deep dive, one of my criteria is anyone who wants to come to the deep dive, assuming we have space in the deep dive, is they have to want to come. If they don't, my God, I'm not wanting them there, for sure, because it's like, then it's like this, you know? Then I'm working with already resistance, and to work with resistance is very hard. That's why, forgive me, and please don't take this the wrong way, guys, but it's taken me years to say I will work in the corporate environment, because I know the corporate environment can be a bit like, okay, what do you got? The body language is even like, yeah, come on, let's see what you got. It's already, whereas when my group environment, people come in, I fucking need this. I need something to change in my life because it's not working. So already they're ready for something. Yeah? That person you're referring to is ideally coming to you and they're saying, I'm willing, that's already a massive word, to look at some of my blind spots and where I'm not authentic. If they're not willing, I say to you, you can indicate a few things, a few blind spots. You can say, hey, you can speak about yourself. You can say, for example, I just went to this crazy woman and she was talking about leadership and she and it was so cool and insight for this and that, blah, blah, blah. And if they go, wow, that sounds interesting, and they want to know, great. And if they don't, I have a bit of a question mark. It's like bringing the horse to the water. If they don't want to drink, they don't want to drink. Huh? If they don't want to change, and is it your job to change? I mean, I am very delicate in how I say this. And at the same time, of course, I would love everybody to want to work with, themselves, yeah? To clean things up, Yeah? Anyone else? I do think, I just want to say, because, Nike last year asked me to come in and do some of this kind of stuff. And I know that, Google's asking, that's probably my mom. Sorry, one second. Let me just tell her. Well, I better not ask. She's in San Francisco. She's coming to, where are we now? And she's coming to Greece. She's turning 70. It's so exciting. So I'm going to have my mom. She's so sweet. But I do think in Google, for example, if anyone's heard of Eckhart Tolle, thanks to Oprah, I have to say, Oprah really was a big bridge in breaking some of the things around taboos, around even the word spirituality. People used to crawl and they go, oh, don't even talk to me about spirituality, yeah? It's not like a sacrilege word now, yeah? So thankfully, these things have happened. She fell in love with Eckhart Tolle. I thought he was very conscious in how he spoke. Google brings in talks such as him, and more the paradigm is changing in the corporate environment where they're starting to go, hey, something's not working here, the dialogue's not working, we want to break out and break into something new. You guys, the millennials and the centennials are coming, and I'm loving it. And finally, I can say, I'm ready for that too. Before I was like, but now I'm like, yes. And I've been speaking with these beauties about, okay, so let's bring some of this work into the corporate environment, because I feel now there is a readiness, even though some people are a bit like,
Is it the readiness of the companies, or is it because the people are changing?
I feel like the people are changing. Now, does anyone know who AOC is? Andrea Ocasio-Cortez. You guys have heard of it? I'm a follower. Why? Because she's come into Congress in America, which is a hard position. You need 150,000 just to start your campaign in Congress. She didn't take one single penny from pharmaceutical companies or from the oil companies, none. She was one of the first people ever in Congress not to get her pockets lined by anyone. So she's changing the paradigm of the people in Congress that are in power position to make decisions, which is amazing. It means votes will change. It means laws and policies will change, not based on big corporate, yeah? So already and there's a whole new slew, and some of you guys in this room who are starting to look at things differently. And I say, yes, hallelujah. Sometimes things have to get really bad in order to, to shift. Make sense? So were you going to say something about that?
No, you can tell maybe about natural born leader, setting up and
Yeah.
it's a bridge, but not necessarily.
Hey, my name is Edward, and I met those two beauties and also in the same context
Yeah.
that I was referring to. Hey, I'm 61
Hmm.
And then they go around and they say, I really want to know how are you doing. And just by spending here maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and maybe it's 30 minutes, and if not enough, we just schedule another 30 minutes. And my boss, he's 15 years younger. Hey, you really do that? Yeah, I dare to trust on it. I don't talk about KPIs and whatever, and techie stuff and whatever. And they're doing really well. So it's really connecting between you and me. So if it's here, it's okay. And if it feels okay and you come here, you will feel it's okay. You go home. It's really super. It's really, really super. So you're always, and I always say, tell them, you're always allowed, it's the wrong word, but to express how you feel about certain things. And it needs a bit of courage in a changing environment. And always, if you're fussy, I want to do it, I don't want to do it, I want to. So try to make it a question for yourself or make it a question for the other.
Yeah.
It's really opening up. It's
Yeah.
so simple.
It's,
Yeah.
and so necessary.
Yeah, and so necessary, but there you can start. Be curious to the other person,
Yeah.
like that. And we're all smart, we're all craftsmen, techies, whatever, accountants. There's really not a big issue there.
No.
Yeah, you got your degree on that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's really, but the other thing is so nice. Be curious.
I'm happy to hear that, because it can be people in that age group, there can be a lot of egos flying around going, yeah, I don't need it, I'm sorted, like they can arrive at a place inside, and then when the younger generation comes, they can be like, yeah, you guys don't know what you're talking about. And there can be this kind of resistance happening. And when that can slowly change, I think transformation can happen, especially where how all business is done and good business can start to, especially around opening up and conversation. That's great to hear.
Cultural things can be,
Yes.
I have some people from Greece, and they are very on the hierarchy. They say, you talk with your boss, yeah, and you talk with Edward as well. Yeah, I like talking with Edward, but you're also my boss. So this confuses them. So I have to help them, give them trust there. So
That's
I
great.
6 or 60, whatever, that's it. If you move, you learn. I want it at all. Like it, if you move, you learn.
That's great, Edward. I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you. Love you too. Yeah? And so we good? Anyone else have a question? Don't feel shy. Okay, and just to close, yes, we are birthing a new thing about natural born leaders, how to bring into the work environment. It's just at the birthing place, but it is a time, as I was saying before, where there's a readiness for this, how to bring it in, how can we work, how can we bridge some of these gaps, how can we transform the old paradigm into a new paradigm to start opening up and feel safe at work, actually enjoy work, feel like we can be honest.
Yeah, and we do it because we truly believe that change and a positive change in this world will not come from the people in power anymore. It's like the companies who have the reach, they have the trust, they have the size. And so if we are able to really inspire the leaders or really invoke leaders to become more authentic, then we think that that's basically our purpose story, to really invoke positive change by invoking more corporate. So we really aim there. It's like the working title is now called Natural Born Leaders, and it's really about corporate leadership and business culture. That's what we're aiming at. So if you have some interesting ideas or an interesting network of things that might help us in that journey, be sure to reach out to me. Definitely.
And I should also be very transparent in saying that, this birth, because I love to teach and I love to also give back, and I know people want to learn how to do this kind of stuff. And now, because of Deep Dive, some people are like, wow. So we're talking about Deep Dive is a program where other facilitators come in and support in the particular environment, yeah? And this will be a training ground for them. And it might also be for the way we coach and work in the corporate environment as well. If you don't have these essential inner tools that you feel in connection with yourself, then it wouldn't fit, of course, because how can I work with you and facing your anger or your frustration if I'm not willing to face my own anger and my frustration? Yeah? So it has to go, in congruency. This is what I love about this work. And I feel like, yes, we're ready for that. I feel like in the next few decades, the way we see the world today is going to be very different. It is coming. Thank you again, beauties. Mwah.